All right, today we're going to deconstruct the opening of what might just be the most influential letter ever written, Paul's epistle to the Romans. Seriously, this isn't just some ancient text. It's a piece of writing that has literally shaped history, from empires to philosophies. And it all starts with an incredibly strategic, really powerful introduction.
So just imagine this for a second. You have to write a letter to a group of people you've never even met. They live in Rome, the most powerful city on earth, and you have to deliver a message you believe will change everything. I mean, no pressure, right? How do you even start something like that? Well, Paul's opening is a masterclass in how to do it.
First things first, he knows his audience. In verse 7, he makes it super clear that this isn't some generic essay. No, this is a personal letter addressed directly to all that be in Rome. And look at how he addresses them. Beloved of God, called to be saints. Right off the bat, he's building a bridge, creating this sense of respect and a shared identity.
Okay, so before you can trust a message, you have to trust the messenger, right? You have to ask, why should anyone in the heart of the Roman Empire listen to this guy, Paul? He totally anticipates this question and uses the very first verse of his letter to basically lay out his resume. Yeah, in verse 1, he gives us his identity in three really strategic layers. First, he calls himself a servant of Jesus Christ. That shows humility, shows where his allegiance is. Second, called to be an apostle. Okay, now that's a claim to divine authority. And third, separated unto the gospel of God, which declares his one singular purpose. He's not just some guy with an opinion, he's framing himself as a man on a mission from God. And you know, that word apostle is absolutely key here. It comes from the Greek apostolos, which means one who is sent off. We're not just talking about a follower. This is an official delegate, a messenger who carries the full weight and authority of the person who sent them. So Paul is basically claiming to be a direct emissary of Jesus Christ himself. That's a bold claim. So now that he's established who he is, Paul immediately moves on to define the message he's been separated for. What exactly is this gospel of God that he mentioned back in that first verse?
Well, the word gospel, it literally just means good news. But for Paul, this isn't just any good news. It's a specific, history-changing announcement, and it lays out exactly what it is right from the start.
So in verses 2 through 4, Paul really unpacks it for us. He argues, look, this isn't some new thing I just invented. It was promised before in the Holy Scriptures, as he says in verse 2. And it's all about a person, Jesus Christ. He makes sure to highlight both Jesus' human side, a descendant of David from verse 3, and his divine identity, declared to be the Son of God with power by the resurrection in verse 4. It's a brilliant framing, really. He's saying this is an ancient promise that was just recently fulfilled in a verifiable event.
Okay, so we've got the messenger and we've got the message. Now the letter takes a turn and gets really personal. Why is he so focused on connecting with the believers in Rome? I mean, this is a community he didn't even start, a place he's never even visited. Why Rome?
You know, he doesn't start with a list of rules or commands. He starts with praise. In verse 8, he tells them he's thankful for them, and he points out that their faith is famous. It's spoken of throughout the whole world. I mean, that's just a masterstroke of building rapport. He's treating them like respected partners in this global movement, not just students he's about to lecture. And his desire to visit them is deeply personal. He writes in verse 11 that he longs to see them, to impart unto you some spiritual gift. But then, he's quick to add, and this is so important, that this isn't a one-way street. In verse 12, he says he also expects to be encouraged by their faith. It's about building each other up, a mutual strengthening. And this really gets to the urgency of his whole mission. In verse 14, Paul says, I am a debtor. It's like he feels this profound obligation, a debt he owes to share this message with everyone. He says he's a debtor to the Greeks, the cultured, sophisticated folks, and the barbarians, the uncultured, to the wise and the unwise. This feeling of a universal debt is what's driving him, what fuels his burning desire to get to Rome, which was really the crossroads of the entire world. So we've covered the messenger, the message, and his personal motivation for writing. This entire introduction has been this careful, deliberate construction, building momentum toward one single powerful point. After 15 verses of setup, Paul is finally ready to drop the thesis statement for the entire letter. So what is it? After laying all this groundwork, what is the core, explosive idea that he's about to spend the rest of this epic letter unpacking? And here it is, verse 16. I am not ashamed of the gospel. Now, in a Roman culture that was completely obsessed with honor, shame, and power, that's a radical thing to say.
And why isn't he ashamed? Because he says, it is the power of God unto salvation. See, this gospel isn't just a nice idea. It's a dynamic, active force that saves people, and it's available to everyone who believes.
So, how does this power actually work? Well, verse 17 gives us the key. For therein, meaning in the gospel, is the righteousness of God revealed. And this is the crucial part. This isn't a righteousness that we achieve on our own. It's not about being a good person. It's a righteousness that comes from God. And the way we get it is from faith to faith. It's all about faith. And this is brilliant. To make sure this revolutionary idea doesn't sound like it came out of nowhere, he anchors it right in the Hebrew Scriptures. He pulls a quote from the prophet Habakkuk to show that this idea, that a right relationship with God comes through faith, has actually been there all along. The just shall live by faith. That one line becomes the engine that drives his entire argument for the rest of the book. And this really leaves us with the central question that the entire book of Romans sets out to answer. If our own attempts to be good enough always fall short, but a perfect righteousness from God is now available to us just through faith, what in the world does that actually mean for humanity? It's a question that would echo through the next 2,000 years of history.